Of course, we cannot separate the religious institution or the church from the schools. We even have a lot of schools sponsored by the church. And CS Magoha there has put the blame squarely on parents when it comes to good behavior.
Yes, we cannot separate religious institutions with education, because education is actually the most sustainable way of any nation for development. Because if we do not invest in education and safeguard, then we may not have a sustainable development, because these are the same people that we are bringing up. Now, the issues that have been raised there are quite pertinent issues, where the students are attacking or assaulting the teachers. But I think it is bigger than that. The problem is much bigger than that.
Yes.
Because we also have teachers assaulting the students.
Indeed.
So we are actually having a culture of violence. And this culture of violence is not limited to the schools.
Yes. Because
it is the same that we have seen in the families.
Yes.
And looking at it clearly, it's quite an aftermath of the difficult COVID situations that people have passed through. People responding to people who have been struggling with all sorts of life, from health to economics to everything. And now they are coming to a new year where demands of budgets and getting children to school, and kids who have been at home all along sitting, having their own schedule, nobody telling them when to wake up or when to sleep. So coming to the rules, to an environment of rules, where they are told guidelines how to operate, and even the teachers the same. They stayed free. Now, to try and install order, back to order, those conflicts that we are seeing there are likely to be there, only that they are too exaggerated, because we find them armed with knives and crude weapons. Because if it is just a physical confrontation between a student and a teacher,
yes,
that we can understand and probably be a bit patient as people catch up with the new life after all the COVID stuff and staying home. But I think at this point now, besides the parents, as he has thrown the ball to the parents, that parents have got their part.
Yes.
And definitely, every parent needs to begin parenting from home. That means different people. To the CS, he has talked about his children going to school by bus when they have the opportunity to be driven. That means kind of reducing some kind of privileges for them, so that they can begin probably to fit within the same society with the other people. But to another parent, it may also mean something different, because some parents think that culture of violence is learned in the bus, in the school bus. So driving their children to school if they can, that is fine. But as religious leaders, we feel we have a great responsibility, great responsibility when it comes to peace, light from home, to the schools and all that. So I agree that we need to do much more than we have done in terms of bringing up, teaching and speaking these things, even from our own religious environment, where we deal with the character and all other things. Yes, but I was expecting that on educational matters, I was really expecting to hear what probably the Ministry of Education is going to do to respond to the inequitable distribution, particularly of this exam that is going on this week, where we have seen some children from schools. They have no printer. They cannot be able. They receive the exam from the ministry. The teachers are there trying to read it, and they have no printer. They have nothing, and then they are expected to perform in the same manner with a big school, whereby the school receives that exam, prints everything for everybody, and gives every child a copy. I expected him to say something about that, because that is disturbing. Because we definitely want to provide equitable education for all the children.
Indeed.
Yes.
Indeed. And perhaps to link that with the new problem that we have in the country, and more specifically this year. This month is just 20 days. This year is just 20 days old, yet we've experienced more than 10 cases of femicides, where we are witnessing very young people actually taking lives of their own loved ones. Perhaps can the church actually, or the religious institutions, that is talking about temples, mosques, synagogues, or even churches, do to actually help out?
Yes, and actually that is a cardinal role for the church, to ensure that the people of the nation are growing with the right moral fabric, where the ethical behavior demonstrates that they know what is right and what should be done and what should be avoided. Now that role of the church is still ongoing. And the church will never and has never abdicated its role of being that moral conscious and bringing up character, not just from the pulpit, but also from the parents who are members of the religious institutions. When the church speaks to them, and then they go home and bring up the children in a right way. But I think, and we have said this before, right in this same forum, that the family,
yes,
is a critical institution in the development of a nation. And it's the foundation of all cultures. It is the first school. It's actually the first place where learning should be taking place. And actually the family has more time than even the school. So it boils back to a co-parenting or co-working or partnership between the religious institutions and the family at home, that's the parenting. And of course the school comes in also. So if we are going to bring up a holistic person,
yes,
a person who is a responsible citizen, who not only hate himself and want to kill himself or want to take away the life of another, I think it is a joint responsibility for all the institutions. And I think we all value, religious institutions recognize the dignity of life. So no religious institution will not take seriously when people are either taking away their life or taking other people's life. The schools definitely the same. The home the same. So but I think what we probably need to do more is that partnership, that joint effort, where we address the problem as a national problem, because indeed it is scary. It is scary. Yes.
And of course, CS Magoha has talked about the third week of education, and we have seen a drop in the number of reported coronavirus cases, which of course is a plus for the country. And he has talked about 4.6 billion has been released for primary and 14.9 billion has been released for secondary education right here in the country. And of course he has reiterated what the president said: no student should be sent home because of lack of fees. He has of course warned schools, just as the president did, so no student should be sent to school. But away from that, today we are talking about the state of politics in the country. You bear me witness that the political drumbeats can be heard from afar, and of course when it comes to the BBI and also the by-elections that we have seen and others that have been lined up to take place in the coming days. And we are looking at the role of religious institutions, and as I had alluded to earlier, is that temples, mosques, synagogues, and also churches. Kindly send us your suggestion, your question, or your comments, or even where you're watching us from on our various social media platforms. Remember, we are live on Facebook, we're also live on Twitter, on YouTube, and also from our KBC app. And if you don't have that app, kindly do download it so that you may get factual information even on the go when it comes to KBC programming and our very informative news. Back to our discussion. Bishop, you wear a lot of hats. You're just not the founder of Glory Outreach Ministries.
Yes, I do. First and foremost, I am the presiding bishop and the founder of Glory Outreach Assembly, which we are now celebrating 30 years this year.
Oh, congratulations.
So thank you so much. So we are actually in our 30th anniversary, starting from this month, and we're going to celebrate the entire year. Our celebrations are basically looking at the impact that Glory Outreach Assembly has had on communities in 4 areas. We're looking at the impact that we may have had in the areas of the church.
Yes.
And part of that is what we are discussing today, how we are able to respond to the issues that affects the nation. The area of taking the gospel to unleash people group, and also the area of compassion is our second area. So we are looking into that in the 30 years. We've been able to start 8 children's homes.
Okay.
And so we are looking at the lives of children who we either pick from the streets, in particular in Naivasha and other areas, who today have gone through the colleges and they are employed and they are raising their own families. And so we are also looking at the leadership development, which is a key pillar of our ministry. We are so much concerned about raising leaders who are people of integrity, because we believe that every other ministry cannot be done if we are not raising leaders. And the fourth one definitely that we are celebrating and looking back is the peace building and conflict resolution. We value peace, and we really have it as one of our four vision areas, because we believe it is difficult for any development, it's difficult to propagate even the faith or anything if people are in conflict.
Indeed.
Or if people are not living in peace. So that is they have the first heart, that is the founder and presiding bishop of 30 years old Njue. And the second heart is I am also the international director for International Leadership Institute, that representing the nations that speak English and Swahili in Africa. That's what I represent. This is primarily about equipping leaders to spread the gospel. It's about ensuring that we are raising servant leaders. We have had bosses for a long time. We are trying to build a shift that you can lead through modeling, through service, and we strongly believe that everything lies or falls with the leadership. And so the other hat that I wear is the General Secretary of the Federation of Evangelical and Indigenous Christian Churches of Kenya. So I'm the General Secretary of that forum.
Talking of leadership, America today, a couple of hours from now, they will be inaugurating the 46th American president together with his vice president. We are talking about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. The politics of the United States, and of course, a lot of people didn't expect what we've seen in the last couple of days or weeks, for that matter. What can you say about that? Looking at USA, all eyes will be on America.
First and foremost, you are right that nobody expected what we have seen through this particular process of election, particularly presidential, in the United States. And whatever has come out of that, even the event today, as people wait for it, the way they anticipate and look up to it is different from the past. And I think one lesson that we are learning is democracy is a process, and it is threatened regardless of how old the democratic institutions may be. And sometimes I think we have learned from this that sometimes we also beat ourselves too hard, and we judge ourselves too harshly when it comes to our democratic processes, and we have always looked at the US as a model. But we have learned that it is a process. It is something that grows with the people. And it has also become quite clear that whoever is the incumbent or is exiting presidency, I think that that person also matters so much, because we are talking about the 46th, but we have not had what we currently have, and all those conflicts that we have had. So that contributes a great deal also to the person who is leaving. So we are looking forward to a great day for them. There's all the tension, there's all the security they have put in place, but more so, not even about the inauguration today, but the process of Joe Biden and Kamala taking up and kind of uniting the people. I look at them, and particularly in this election, and see they are either where we are or we have been, or even worse.
Yes.
Because for us, we learned to deal with factions during election, divisive politics. We are used to dealing with the aftermath of elections.
Yes.
But for them, this is going to be quite a huge test of their democracy.
Yeah.
Even what happens after the inauguration.
Yes.
But we are praying for them.
Indeed. We will be all eyes on America in the next couple of hours.
Yes.
But still on the same, before we get into Kenyan politics, looking at the African politics that we have, a couple of months ago, I think it's around 1 or 2 months ago, we had the Tanzanian elections. Last week we had the Ugandan one. Africa, we have the highest number of presidents who have really stayed in power. Looking at Uganda, what is happening in Uganda, even observers and international community is worried about what is currently happening. We've seen even clips of boxes being stashed. What is wrong with this picture of African politics?
Well, that's a great question. I feel like Africa, once you take up a leadership position, it is until death do us part.
Yes, it's like marriage.
It is, and we really don't want to leave, which is unfortunate.
Yes.
And looking at Tanzania, looking at Uganda, I was in Uganda last week, and I was training leaders, 31 key leaders from all over the place, just before the elections, and you could hear. I think we Africans have also reached a point, or we are at a point whereby we have accepted that
it's the norm now.
That is the norm. That things have got to be that way, because you could hear these leaders and their key people, all of them saying, we know the results, we know how they will be, but not because they are not flawed, but we know what the outcome will be.
Yes.
So we somehow allow ourselves to live in that kind of situation, and that is why you find that most of our problems in Africa are not really economic, neither are they social.
It's leadership.
They are leadership. They are leadership. And the moment we'll be able to address the leadership issues in Africa, I think we'll be on our way to the economic and social progress and sustainability, because there will always be a reason for a leader in Africa for not wanting to leave. There will always be a reason, and that leader will always have people around him buying into whatever theory he comes up with. I heard in Uganda the theory was, oh, the young people are not really ready to read. They can't read without us. There will always be that theory and a way of, and of course we have learned from the previous very readers from different parts of the continent that they also have a way of going around their stay in power or coming back. They have a way of going around it. It is unfortunate, but I think it also gives us a great responsibility as religious leaders to speak into these situations, and it also gives a challenge also to our future generations.
Yes.
To be determined and prepared to bring change.
Indeed. Looking at Muammar Gaddafi stayed in power for years, looking at Mobutu, looking at Mugabe, the list is endless. And I don't know whether that situation is the one that is could replicate in counties here in Kenya, because I've heard of second-time governors talking about we still have some gas left. We want to still serve our people in various positions, and some have even declared that they're going to be availing themselves to be members of parliament so that they may seek a bigger seat. But that is not even a speculation. Let's wait and see how the situation will be. But it's Mohandas Gandhi who said that those who say religion has nothing to do with politics do not know what religion is. So here in the country, we've witnessed a lot of politicians using the religious institutions to further their political agenda. Not because that is exactly what is in their heart, but because perhaps they see the church being an easy ground and a fertile ground to sell their policies. What do you have to say about that?
Well, they may have succeeded in the past, but I don't think they will succeed anymore, because the church is also enlightened. It's coming up, and I think it is becoming now too difficult for the church to just open their forums for anybody to propagate their political ideologies. But we still have to do more than that. We are, the church is sensitive about that. The church is seeing particularly how the involvement of politicians in the agenda affects or undermines the law of unity that the church stands for and tries to propagate. But and that is why in the past we as clergy, I think we have not involved ourselves much or even spoken much, because we probably do not want to be blinded this or that side. But we realize you can never separate yourself from the political life. There can never be the political life and the religious life of the people and economic life. These are the same people, and they are inseparable. Because if we do not care who governs the people, then it means that we are prepared to be governed by anybody, and then we cannot therefore talk of any agenda or any vision for the nation. So the church has its role to play, their life to it, and they are more active and more engaged than ever before when it comes to the issues of governance and politics.
Still on the same, religious institutions have been accused of divisive politics, and especially when we get closer to general elections. It has become a norm that politicians will always speak after a Sunday service or after a mass or a religious function. They are the ones who speak last, and they are not even regulated on what they say. Could you say that that is a very, very dangerous ground? It
is a dangerous ground, and it is a good real challenges, and is actually be pointing a finger at the church. Fair, it's fair. That's fair, because when the person people hear last is likely to be what they take home, regardless of what message had been preached by the clergy or the religious leader. And I think if you have noted, that is a trend that is changing, particularly when it comes to speaking inside the church. That has changed, particularly in the last couple of months. The religious leaders are not so generous with their pulpits like they used to be, but and they are having people speak outside. But politicians, being who they are, even if you give them outside to speak, they have their own way of communicating and lulling the people behind whatever the message is, which places a greater responsibility for us as the church leaders to probably be more hard, to probably be more aggressive in communicating our agenda and the message. But the dilemma that we find ourselves in as church leaders when it comes to that is that these are elected leaders who are representing people. And sometimes when they go to that particular church, those are the same people who voted them to go and speak for them. And it is expected that they are representing their interests. So really we find ourselves in that delicate balance of how do you deny this representative of the people who elected him the opportunity to speak to the same people. But I think we can manage it better by not allowing them to speak within the church, by also, because they are also our members.
Yes.
We also need to speak to them and kind of instill a bit of wisdom without necessarily telling them what to say, but maybe we can tell them what not to say.
Indeed.
Even if we are not able to tell them what to say.
Yes, but when we come back, we're going to be looking at the fundings. We've seen, let me call them generous politicians who have given a lot of money to religious institutions. Now, they use that as their political vehicle to further their cause. And also, the allure of huge gatherings look like low-hanging fruits for politicians to use their predatory instincts to try and further their causes. We will be getting back to that. Indeed, you're watching News Check. We will be right back. When we come back, we'll be discussing more on the role of religious institutions in creating a harmonious or even preaching a harmonious environment, especially when we get closer and closer to elections. We'll be right back. Keep it Channel 1.